Ciri, child of destiny, princess of Cintra, child of surprise. If she wanted to, she could become queen of the mighty Nilfgaardian Empire. If it were her will, she could choose the fate of ruler of the Aen Elle, the powerful elves from another world. If she wished, she could easily become the ruler of one of the worlds she traveled through, opening gates between realms. She could have become a goddess to mere mortals, but in the end she chose the fate of a simple witcher, a monster slayer who protects the world of ordinary people from the darkness. She chose the fate of a person without a home or confidence in tomorrow, someone who's despised in many corners of the world, someone who risks their life every day for people who are often not even grateful for it. So why, for God's sake, did she choose this path? The answer to this question can be found in Cirilla's past, in her incredibly difficult life journey, a journey of death, baseness, and cruelty, a journey in which she remained human, all because she had people to look up to. Geralt of Rivia, Yennefer of Vengerberg, even the good-for-nothing Zoltan. All these became examples for Ciri, and as a result the young girl's crazy life did not break her, but only strengthened her, but only made her stronger and made her a true hero. Ciri also saw those arrogant sorcerers, proud elves, and majestic emperors, and she realized that all their greatness and praise were worthless. Behind those noble faces hid the real monsters, the same monsters that Geralt kills. Ciri encountered them throughout her life, and she defeated them all, and she survived without losing her moral compass, understanding what is good and what is evil. In this video, the old Witcher will tell you guys about Ciri's 10 most powerful enemies, how she defeated them, and how these victories built her up. Before we begin, as always, we would like to thank our patrons for their support, without whom it would be impossible to release regular content on this channel. Do join the ranks of these awesome people, and we promise to continue doing what we do with the same dedication and passion. Whatever the case, get your snacks ready because now we're going to tell you about the 10 most powerful enemies Ciri had to defeat in her life. Cahyr. Cahyr Mar Different Eb Kelak was the first obstacle in Ciri's path, the first real test. If she had not defeated him, her entire story might have never happened. But Ciri defeated Cahyr, and she did so twice. Cahyr was a knight, a true knight of the Nilfgaardian army. At the same time, he was not just any knight, but a privileged one, the chosen agent of Emperor Emhyr var Emreis himself. When the armies of the Nilfgaardian Empire stormed the walls of Cintra, the hometown of Princess Cirilla, it was Cahyr whom Emhyr var Emreis chose to find Cirilla, rescue her from the burning fortress, and deliver her safe and sound to the Emperor. It was quite a responsible task, a task that Cahyr failed to accomplish. That was when Ciri deceived him for the first time. The young princess fled from the knight, condemning him to the harsh punishment of the Emperor. But even that was not the end. A few years later, fate brought Ciri and Cahyr together again. When the sorcerer Vilgefortz betrayed the Empire and Thanedd was stormed by Nilfgaardian troops, Ciri was there. The Emperor released Cahyr from the jail and gave him a second chance. The same task, to find Ciri and bring her to the Empire. This time, however, Ciri was even more prepared. She engaged in a sword fight with Cahyr, a truly trained knight, a young girl, and she won. She overcame the fear that Cahyr had instilled in her all this time. She disarmed him and defeated him. She could have killed him, but she spared his life, withholding the fatal blow. Ciri was already better than that. Cahyr fell deeply in love with the girl who defeated him, and instead of pursuing her, he served her until his death, helping Geralt in his search for her, and ultimately giving his life for his lady, for the lady who defeated him and thus conquered his heart. Leo Bonhart. But the Knight of the Nilfgaardian Empire was only the first of Ciri's enemies. The real test for her was a cold-blooded mercenary with incredible fencing skills, the cruel and unprincipled Leo Bonhart. Ciri met him sometime after the events at Thanedd. He killed her friends as if it were a game and defeated her. He captured her and abused her mentally and physically. He was close to breaking her completely. Leo Bonhart was a demon incarnate for Ciri, leading her around like a dog on a leash, stripping her naked, forcing her to watch the deaths of her loved ones, throwing her into the arena with mercenaries and forcing her to fight for her life. He provoked her to kill herself. He broke her over and over again, trying to kill her and instill fear in her. But even all his cruelty and cold-bloodedness were not enough. Ciri was hardened in Kaer Morhen and passed through the flames in Cintra. What is hardened in Kaer Morhen can only be broken by death. Ciri managed to get away from Leo Bonhart. At the moment when everyone could believe that she was incapable of anything and had given up. At the moment when death was closest. She escaped. She hid in the forest with the hermit Visigoda who nursed her, gave her shelter, gave her new hope and a new goal. Ciri regained her strength, reached the Tower of the Swallow and moved to the world of the elves, Aen Elle. In that world she would meet several more enemies from this list, but at least Leo Bonhart was behind her for now. Only at the end of the story, when all the fates of the main characters of the Witcher book saga converged in a decisive battle at Stygia Castle, did Ciri once again come face to face with Leo Bonhart. But this time she was ready for that fight. Using all her skills, all her acquired willpower and strength, Ciri defeated the cruel monster Leo Bonhart in a deadly duel, outwitting him and beating the mercenary at his own game. Of course, it was difficult to call this creature a human being. It was truly a demon in human form, so there was no question of sparing his life. Ciri ended the life of Leo Bonhart, one of the most skilled swordsmen in the history of the continent, the one who wanted to possess her. Ciri remained free and the journey continued. Riens. But before the duel with Bonhart, Ciri had one more obstacle in human form. A renegade sorcerer and devoted servant of Vilgefortz, Riens. A man of notable magical talent who, thanks to Vilgefortz, mastered his craft well enough to rival graduates of Aretuza and Banarn. On Vilgefortz's orders, Riens pursued Ciri for months. Also, he could deliver the girl to his master for genetic experiments. He fought Yennefer, set assassins on Geralt, was seriously wounded, yet never abandoned the task that had become his obsession. He was only a few meters from Ciri when she escaped Leo Bonhart, and he almost caught her at the Tower of the Swallow, near the portal through which Ciri entered the world of the elves. Ciri had to defeat him and several mercenaries along the way. On the frozen lake surrounding the enchanted tower, Ciri attacked Rience and the bandits pursuing her. She had her skates on. They had their ordinary boots on. She emerged from the fog and exacted a bloody toll, and they could not even see her. All the magic in the world could not help Rience against Ciri, who slaughtered her tormentors. At one point, the ice gave way beneath the renegade mage. Rience clutched the edge, hoping to climb out of the freezing water. But Ciri appeared again as if from nowhere, skimmed past and sliced the tips of his fingers with the blades. The fingers stayed on the surface, and the bloody hand, together with the magician's body, slipped beneath the ice, entombing Ciri's latest enemy beside the tower on the lake. Eredin. From mercenaries and hardly skilled mages, we advanced to the next tier, to true masters of sorcery who travel between worlds as ghostly skeleton riders upon dead horses. In the guise of the Wild Hunt, proud Aen Elle who witnessed humanity's dawn and have lived for centuries conquering countless realms. Some of them became obstacles on Ciri's path, yet still could not stop her. The first was Eredin, leader of the Wild Hunt, destined to become king of his entire people. When Ciri arrived in the Aen Elle world, Eredin was not the first she met, and she did not seek him. When the battle at the Tower of the Swallow ended, Ciri stepped through the portal and entered the elves' realm. She was greeted by Avalad, one of their sages. He guided her back to the tower. He wanted her there. Yet, though Ciri was treated like a queen, she soon realized they viewed her only as a surrogate mother. Prophecy held that her child would open portals between worlds. Therefore, they wished that child to be conceived by their king, Oberon. The tale of this prophecy and elder blood is separate. We have a full video, so feel free to watch it. But let us remain with Ciri, for she felt a prisoner even in that gilded cage. She tried to flee but could not. She was given a choice, surrender to King Oberon and bear a child, or never see freedom again. Ciri appeared to comply, yet Oberon could not go through with it. The conception failed. Ciri sought escape with unicorns when the king suddenly died and another elf ready to take the throne, one far less principled, the cruel Wild Hunt commander Eredin, called the Hawk. He pursued Ciri as she fled. He would not have hesitated to sire a child with the chosen bearer of space and time magic. But Ciri slipped away that same night, outwitted him, and, helped by unicorns, broke free of the Aen Elle realm. She dealt a crushing blow to Eredin's pride that could not be repaired, and he could not forgive it. He hunted Ciri for years. He abducted Yennefer from the Malice Island, hoping Ciri would come. Then he captured Geralt, and Ciri appeared to rescue her foster father. It was the second time she defeated Eredin. Geralt awoke in some forest, freed from the hunt, while Ciri darted between worlds to elude her pursuer. But she could not run forever. She returned to the continent with the hunt close behind. Eredin reached Kaer Morhen and slew Vesemir, Ciri's beloved mentor. That act unleashed such fury in her that Eredin could not withstand it. Ciri prevailed once more, yet those near her kept dying to shield her. Realizing she could not endlessly flee, Ciri faced the hunt again. In Eredin's duel with Geralt, the king faltered. He lost and fell. Though it was not Ciri who slit the hawk's throat, she was the one who defeated him. She deceived, escaped, and drove him into Geralt's path, where Eredin met his end, and thus Ciri bested a godlike foe. Vilgefortz. It may seem impossible to top Eredin in this list, but there is worse to come. Let us descend to Stygia Castle, where Ciri killed Leo Bonhart, for that fortress belonged to another enemy who coveted her, Vilgefortz, perhaps the most powerful sorcerer in continental history, a mage of staggering might who stopped one step shy of true greatness. It was Vilgefortz who sent Rience after Ciri. It was Vilgefortz who fomented rebellion on Thanet, where Ciri defeated Cahyr, and it was Vilgefortz who beat Geralt half to death. It was Vilgefortz who destroyed the High Vampire Regis with his bare hands. It was Vilgefortz who easily bested Yennefer, one of the continent's most talented sorceresses, in single combat. Vilgefortz, Vilgefortz, Vilgefortz. He stood behind all of Ciri's misfortunes from the very start. He restored Emhyr to Nilfgaard's throne, causing the death of Ciri's mother. He stirred the northern war of Nilfgaard's behalf. He did it all for Ciri, to possess blood. Vilgefortz learned about the Elder Blood and Iflin's prophecy, realizing Ciri's child might command space and time, and he lusted for that power. He spared neither lives nor coin. He was willing to torture and kill. He would have kept Yennefer chained in his dungeons. He was even willing to impregnate Ciri artificially, then cut her open, extract the fetus, and raise a child in a vat. Insane, immensely powerful, backed by vast resources and allies. Throughout the books, Vilgefortz loomed as the invisible antagonist, yet even he could not defeat Ciri. She tricked him, forced him to free Yennefer, and fled. She ran to her duel with Bonhart. Vilgefortz later died by Geralt's sword, yet the true victor was Ciri. Without her, Geralt and Yennefer would never have drawn Vilgefortz's wrath. Their clash centered on a girl bearing elder blood versus a mage seeking to exploit her. In the end, Ciri lived. Those dear to her lived. Vilgefortz fell, remembered as a mad sorcerer with delusions of grandeur, not a master of space and time. The Crones of the Crookback Bog. From foes of human origin we moved to enemies whose genesis is unknown, true witches of nightmare. Ancient crones rule in the forest, the Crones of the Crookback Bog. These beings are more monstrous than human. Though bipedal, humanoid, articulate, they are nothing like mankind. Legend claims their mother was the planet's own offspring, a spirit born at civilization's dawn. She molded her daughters from clay and blood, then breathed magic into them. Thus, some deemed the Crones constructs, creations of raw natural power, part of the continent's very flesh. When Ciri was fleeing Eredin, leaping through space and time, she landed in Crookback Bog. Exhausted, she collapsed in their domain. The Crones recovered her, planning to hand her to Eredin. They had dealings with the Aen Elle, and first intended to taste her blood. Luckily, they delayed, giving Ciri a chance to escape. As ever, her first aim is flight, returning later ready to win. So it proved here. Ciri encountered the Crones again after Vesemir's death. She and Geralt hunted the Hunt's generals for vengeance. The Crones of the Bog blocked their path. They held a Sabbath on Bald Mountain and welcomed Imlerith, one of the generals who slew Vesemir. Geralt dueled Imlerith. Thereafter, Ciri settled her score with the Crones. Ciri found them feasting, brewing a stew of human sacrifice. They appeared as beautiful maidens, but she was not deceived. She saw their true forms, struck, and with her powers slew two of the ancient sisters. Vesemir's death lent her strength. Only the youngest, the Weavers, fled and survived. The question remains whether she will live to see the next Witcher saga, and whether she will seek vengeance for her fallen sisters. Cyprien Wiley. Next on our list is a character named Cyprien Wiley. A normal name, completely ordinary. It can belong to any man. However, as luck would have it, it belongs to one of the biggest scumbags in the city of Novigrad. And do believe us, the competition there is fierce. His nickname, Whoreson Jr., says more about his cruel pervert than anything else. Literally a son of a whore, Cyprien Wiley embodies everything that these words imply. And no, this is not about his mother, about whom we know nothing, but about the belief that only a woman of very low moral principles could give birth to such a degenerate. At least, that is what most folk on the continent would say. Cyprien is the leader of one of Novigrad's criminal gangs, the Cut-Ups. He inherited his nickname from his father, who had been a cruel and unprincipled head of the Cut-Ups before him. Whoreson Jr. surpassed his sire. Cyprien not only became a permanent member of the so-called Big Four of the Novigrad underworld, he also tried to kill the other three bosses. He worked for King Radovid, wanted to trigger a gang war, and he had boundless ambition. He may not have been CIRI'S most powerful enemy, but he was certainly the most disgusting one. Cyprien was infamous for inviting Novigrad prostitutes to his chambers. However, not all of them left those rooms alive. He killed many of them, hanging their bodies from hooks or filling tubs with their blood. Perhaps his mother truly was a whore, else it is hard to grasp why he was so obsessed with women of the oldest profession. In any case, the psychopath and gang lord blocked CIRI'S path when she reached Novigrad, long after her flight from the Crookback Bog. At first, she wanted Whoreson to help solve a mystery dear to her. However, everything changed when Ciri failed to keep the bargain, and the brute beat and captured her friend, the Doppler Dudu. Oh, he definitely had no idea whom he was crossing. Ciri not only thrashed Cyprien until he crawled in his own blood, she also routed his gang. That night, she truly made streets of Novigrad a little cleaner. It is true, Cyprien survived, but Ciri freed Dudu, escaped the thugs, killing many, and humiliated Whoreson. Afterwards, the Witcher Geralt of Rivia dealt with the maniac. Hearing what Whoreson had done to Ciri, the White Wolf found it hard to curb his fury. And whatever punishment Geralt chose, Whoreson Jr.'s story closed in defeat against a girl named Ciri. Caranthir. After a brief pause from demigods and immortals, we return to them for another Wild Hunt general. Caranthir stands next in line. A very special navigator of the hunt, Caranthir was the only one whose power even partly matched Ciri's. The result of selective crossbreeding among pure Aen Elle bloodlines, Caranthir came perilously close to becoming master of space and time himself. In his journeys between worlds, Caranthir guided the Aen Elle host. He could open short-lived portals and wield spatial magic. He was a breath away from equaling Ciri, and perhaps his descendants might have borne elder blood. However, Ciri would not let him live long enough to sire them, all because it was folly for Caranthir to bar the true child of destiny, especially after he slew those dear to her. Vesemir's death proved a turning point. Ciri stopped running and went forward over the corpses of her pursuers. Caranthir took part in the assault on Kaer Morhen. Caranthir snatched Eredin from death there when Ciri's wild power erupted. Caranthir blocked Ciri again in the final battle. He froze Geralt and fought Ciri, yet could not best her. Ciri shattered his staff, sapped his strength, and bought time for Geralt, who broke free, defeated Caranthir, and ran him through the heart. As with Eredin, the killing stroke was not Ciri's, but she was the clear victor in this clash of the Elder Blood prodigies. White Frost. Ruthless thugs, gang leaders, mercenaries, ancient fiends, insane sorcerers, generals of the Wild Hunt. None could halt Ciri, but one foe remained to close the tale. A global, immeasurable enemy, an eternal, invincible force, a threat from which there is only escape. An adversary Ciri chose to face alone. The White Frost is the driving force behind Witcher lore. Its menace spurs countless mighty beings across the continent and beyond to act. A merciless cataclysm, a natural event that will kill all and leave a frozen wasteland. We do not know how that battle unfolded. We know Ciri entered the realm of the Frost. We also know she expected not to survive. But we also know that she did survive, and thus she overcame the inescapable cold death, in one way or another. It is finished. All foes lie behind her. Even the cataclysm retreats from the child of the elder blood. Ciri changed the world and its rules. Ciri won. Ciri herself. You might think that was it, but we have named only 9 of Ciri's enemies. One remains, the chief adversary without whose defeat none of these victories would stand and no saga of the Child of Destiny named Cirilla would exist. We speak of Ciri herself. It is true, Ciri first conquered her own fears and did so repeatedly. Again and again she bested herself, overcame weakness, tempered her spirit and kept her humanity. She defeated herself while fleeing burning Cintra. She refused to be taken, vanished into the unknown, yet preserved her will against Nilfgaard. She defeated herself on Tanith, leaping into an unfamiliar portal and nearly unleashing her full powers for the first time. She defeated herself in the desert with that portal through her, resisting the lure of flame and forswearing magic even at the cost of her life. Also, no one would be harmed. She defeated herself in Leo Bonhart's captivity. She did not break under torture and degradation, did not end her life, survived her friends' deaths, and escaped the nightmare. She recovered and avenged them. She kept her sanity. At so young an age, she endured traumas that would crush hardened warriors. She overcame herself amid Aen Elle luxury. She refused to serve as an incubator. She eluded the wild hunt, alone again, yet free again. Again and again, she defeated and conquered herself. She met that challenge in Stygia Castle, on the Malice Island, in Strange Worlds while fleeing Eredin, then in Kaer Morhen, then in a hopeless clash with the White Frost. Ciri overcame herself over and over again. Over and over again she triumphed over weakness. Yet she kept her principles, defending the helpless, searing out evil. That is why she became a witcher in Geralt's stead, a hero of the continent. That is why she merits that status more than any other. Challenges will return, but we have no doubt she can face them. And that is all for today. What do you guys think about Ciri's fate, her trials, her journey, and the foes she vanquished? Do you guys agree with the list? Do tell us in the comments. Also, check out our video on the Wild Hunt Generals. We mentioned them there, but we dive deeper over there. Thanks to everyone who watched to the end. See you next time when the Old Witcher speaks once more.